What's going on, all you beautiful aviators? RandomEd787 here. Today, I thought we'd go over the stuff that I believe Flight Simulator 2024 needs to succeed. Now, granted, I'm probably not going to cover every single topic that some of you might be thinking of, but if there is something that I'm missing that you think this game needs to succeed, please let me know in the comments below. And look, not every thing I'm going to go over is going to be doom and gloom if it's not in there, but it does depend on the issue. Some are more important than others, but we'll go into detail as we dive right in, so let's get right to it. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of what I believe Flight Simulator 2024 needs, let's go over what we know so far about it. First off, we know this is going to have a huge focus on career-style missions. I mean, it's evident from the trailer and the advertising, so there's going to be a big focus on that. Next, we have improved aerodynamics and physics, and that's evident from the what Asobo showed at the Flight Sim Expo about a month ago. And was it a month ago or 2 months? I think it was a month ago. Yeah, it was a month ago. So we saw that they were showing physics off with balloons and even improvements to general aviation, which is good because I know FS 2020 has a bit of a bad rep with some people when it comes to aerodynamics and general aviation. So that's good that they're working on that. Next is improved weather systems. This will include tornadoes, which I never saw coming, and seasons. Now, hopefully seasons can still come in the 2020 version, but it's nice that we're still going to actually get it in 2024, and I'm sure it's going to be something more than just a color palette to make the world look a little bit different. Asobo has also confirmed that the ground detail is going to look a lot more detailed. That means like cliffs are going to look better, and I've even heard countrysides are going to have a lot more detail to them, which I think is pretty cool. We'll be able to fly up close to the Grand Canyon, and you'll still be able to see really incredible detail, unlike when you have to be far away in the previous version in order for it to actually look good. Now, do I expect this to look the same when it comes to buildings? We'll have to wait and see. But it's nice that the terrain is going to have a lot more detail into it. This next feature is one I actually wasn't expecting, but boy, am I glad it's coming. And that is improved performance and load times. Mainly, I would say load times, because let's face it, you're doing quite a lot of waiting, especially if you don't have an SSD. Luckily, I do, and if you can ever get the chance to play Flight Simulator on an SSD, trust me, there is a difference. But I'm glad that Asobo is making it a priority to improve the load times and the performance, which is very important, and hopefully we can get even more frames out of it. I think this has to do with something that what they're calling a client. I'm not very tech savvy, so please forgive me, but apparently they're going to be only loading in stuff that you actually need and have other stuff in the background that doesn't need to be loaded in. That's based on what I understand. Also, the vast majority of add-ons from the marketplace will carry over to the new sim. Now, we don't have clarification on third-party stuff, like, for example, A2A simulations, PMDG. We don't know if those are just going to be able to be crossed over no problem, or if they're going to need to have some kind of port. I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. I see Asobo and third parties working together very well. There's been, from what I've heard no problems with them. So I think it's just going to have to be more of a, you have to download a new version. And I've already heard of third-party developers saying that, don't worry, we're not going to make you pay twice to port it over to 2024, which I know that would not go over very well with the simming community. So that's good to know. All right, now we're into the good stuff, the stuff that you guys want to see. So let's talk about the launch day. This is something Asobo needs to get 100% right. Okay, maybe 99.9%. Now, nothing can be perfect, I understand that. But for the love of God, this game cannot launch anything like 2020 did. Now, I've clarified many times that Flight Simulator 2020 was not a complete disaster, unlike games like Fallout 76, Cyberpunk 2077, the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, okay? It wasn't that bad. But as someone who's been craving a new flight simulator, I'm not gonna lie, the launch was a little bit to be desired. So I really hope that this game does not launch too buggy, and that means weather should be accurate on day one. It should not take an entire year for the real world weather I'm talking, to work as advertised, so I don't have to go out and download third-party content. I shouldn't have to do that. Now, if I want to get some third-party content that makes it a little bit better, that's okay. But just to get the actual weather from outside, not acceptable. That needs to be working day one. Also, no crashing to desktop. I can't even tell you how many people I've heard that had crash to desktop issues when Flight Simulator launched. It was a lot more widespread than it is today. I even had crash to desktop issues, especially when I was doing that Flying Across America series that I did when the game first launched. I'd be on final approach and then bam, game crashes. Oh, that was just wonderful. And then there was the bug where if you plug in a USB device, it would crash your game. I never heard of a game that does that, but apparently this one did. So no crash of desktop issues. I understand games crash from time to time. I get it. It's a thing you can't 100% avoid, but we should not be hearing on the forums, day one, I'm having crash of desktop issues all over the site. So let's try to avoid that. Another problem that Flight Simulator 2020 had on launch day was installation issues. Now, luckily for me, it went completely smooth. I didn't have any issues, but I noticed a lot of other people were having problems. And one of the problems with even installing Flight Simulator today is that it takes insanely long to install. Granted, yes, I know it's a very big game. I get it. But at the same time, I downloaded other games like Red Dead Redemption 2, which have just as big of a file size, and I can get it done probably a lot quicker. Now, I know a lot of it can be based on your internet connection, and the Microsoft servers. So hopefully the Microsoft servers are not going, crazy on launch day. Hopefully Microsoft and Asobo got the servers prepared for a huge influx of people, because this is going to be a big game. Maybe not as big of a launch as 2020, because a lot of people are skeptical on buying this day one, but still, make sure the servers are ready. Just make sure the servers are more than ready, over prepare for it. It's better to do that. So hopefully there's no installation issues with the game. Luckily, this next concern I have is something that Asobo is keen on getting right, and that's performance. So stable performance at launch. No reports of huge stuttering or frame rate drops. Now, I don't think this was that much of a problem when 2020 launched. My game, granted, I was running on a much older computer, but it ran pretty decently. But then there was the problem that sometimes when there would be big updates that came out, people would have frame rate drops, and I'll get into the update thing in later on in the video. But hopefully performance shouldn't be a problem. Also, no major issues with any of the airplanes. Look, I understand a tiny bug here and there. Maybe the plane's not 100% accurate to the real thing. I get that. You can't really expect that too much with the stock planes, but I don't want to hear anything about avionics being busted, or the autopilot not working correctly, or the plane doing some freaky deaky stuff. No, none of that. And we're gonna have even more planes than usual in this game. We're gonna have the ones from 2020 and all the new things from 2024. So all these planes have to be immaculate. Like I said, though, I know they're not going to be 100% accurate to the real thing, but I know they're going to be close. They're not going to be, I don't expect every plane to be like up to A2A quality, okay, guys? I don't have those kind of expectations. Just make sure that they're working as advertised. All right, the ranting for this video is officially over. Well, maybe for a little bit. I might have one more thing or two to rant slightly about later on, but let's go on to the speculative side of things, and let's talk about the content that I believe this game needs. So we're just going to start off with the elephant in the room, the missions. That's what the main focus for this game is going to be. So, but here's the thing with these missions. They can't just be this one-off thing like they were in FSX. You play a couple missions and then you just go back to free flight like you normally would. This cannot be that. Now, I understand you're always going to have people that are going to always prefer free flight, and that's probably going to be me. But here's what I believe the missions really need if they want to get my attention. They need to have not just variety and depth, but a sense of progression. I want to feel like I'm actually progressing through my career in whatever aviation career I choose. Like, for example, airlines. You start out as a co-pilot and you slowly work your way up to the captain. And that's something that I think that should take a decent amount of time, quite a few hours actually. This is not something you should be able to blow off with in 1 week. This is something that should actually take time, and once you achieve that rank, you should be able to have like a reward that you can post on your profile to brag to everybody, because that's one thing about pilots. We do definitely like to show off a bit. We like to show our ranks. We like to tell people what we've done. I mean, that's kind of how I would feel. I mean, I wouldn't go on a complete bragging thing, but I do know pilots like to show their skills a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're proud of their craft, and we just take so much pride in aviation that we want to make sure we do everything perfectly and then gloat about it when we actually get it right. So I hope that they have a lot of progression type systems in the missions for Flight Simulator 2024. An area where I think Flight Simulator 2020 kind of lagged a bit compared to the previous flight simulators is the flight training. I think it needs to be expanded a lot more in 2024. Now, I have played some of the flight training missions in 2020, and they're not bad. I actually think they're pretty good. I just think they need to, again, like what I said previously, they need to have some sort of sense of progression. For example, if you got your first solo or your first private pilot license, I mean, I think you get it in achievements. I think I can't remember if there's actually like a thing that you can display on your profile, but I would still like there to be ranks, like you work your way up from student pilot to private pilot, instrument rated, commercial, airline transport, or maybe get an endorsement for a seaplane and all that stuff. Like, we should have training for actual seaplane. Well, actually, do we? I think we do already. Actually, I think we do. But you know what I mean. I want them to keep expanding this stuff out more. I want there to be a ton of flight training. And how about maybe some ground school material to read? Because I'm telling you, I learned a lot just reading from the ground school stuff and the old flight simulators. And then you eventually follow up with Rob Machado and you're like, oh, okay, now I get what he's talking about with the ground school material. I understand that a little bit better. And look, I know you could probably just look this up on YouTube and Google nowadays, but it would just be so much nicer to have in the sim, just a lot more convenient. So while we're talking about content, I'm not sure if this is something that's going to happen, because we live in the age of modern gaming, and by modern gaming, it's crap. Look, you have your exceptions, okay? I know there's some, a lot of good games out there. Like, I know I said that I hate the term games as service, but I like the way Asobo has handled it. They've had their bumps here and there, but you know what I mean. So what I would like there to be, or not to be, is a premium edition for this game. Flight Simulator 2020 had a $120 premium edition for, at the time I was okay with it. I don't think that's gonna fly very well with maybe not even me. I'll be kind of rubbed the wrong way a little bit, but I can definitely tell you this: the community will not appreciate it, because a lot of people at the moment think this game is just an expansion. Not a lot of people are completely sold on this yet. I mean, granted, people aren't calling for like mass boycotts or anything like that, but there's a lot more skepticism than I think there is actual excitement for this game. So, Asobo, if possible, can we avoid a premium edition for this one? I just don't think it would be a very good idea. Just keep everything in one core package. There's just no need to have, especially if they have a premium edition where it gives you extra careers and missions. That I will actually admit, that will actually kind of piss me off. I really do not want that, so let's avoid that. This next topic I know is something that we can pretty much all agree on. ATC kind of sucks in Flight Simulator 2020. I think that's something we can all agree on. And I'm not asking Asobo for, tweaks and improvements. No. Scrap the ATC you have now and give it a complete overhaul. If you want to know why I think that, just look at this thing called Beyond ATC. Go look it up right now. It is one of the most mind-blowing things I have probably ever seen for a flight simulator. I'm just talking in general. I mean, this is next level, next gen stuff. Asobo needs to do something completely similar to this. So, like, seriously, the Flight Simulator 2020 ATC is literally just copied and pasted from previous flight sims. It's literally not any different. Just the voices sound a little different. So, new ATC system needs a complete overhaul. No tweaks. Throw out the previous version. Give us something completely new. Lastly, on this topic, I want to talk about an instant replay feature. This needs to be here at launch. It cannot be a beta feature or an experimental thing. It needs to be complete, all set, brand new, out of the box, and easy to use and stable. So I really hope we get a dedicated instant replay feature, because it's just not going to be acceptable after all these years of asking, and we still don't technically have it in 2020. It's an experimental beta version. That's not a full-fledged instant replay. So hopefully on launch, we have a very robust instant replay feature. All right, and the last topic I want to talk about in this video, and it's very short, is future support. What I would like to see Asobo do is to continue to add new missions and keep expanding the career mode, give us new planes. I mean, this is stuff they've already been doing for 2020. I expect them to do the exact same for 2024. Also, this one should be a no-brainer. Please take your time with the updates. Do not rush them. I know some bugs are going to creep in. Like, for example, probably one of the most irritating bugs I've ever come across in Flight Simulator. I've had this mouse flickering issue that makes the sim at times completely unplayable. So, Asobo's gotten better with this when it comes to the updates and not rushing them. So, hopefully they keep doing the same thing for 2024. So, anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I got for the video. I know it was a bit of a long one, but there's just so much stuff to talk about with this game. So I'm still looking forward to it, and I'm going to be reporting on news when we hopefully get some more at Gamescom later this month. I'm hoping that we do. I would really like to see some more stuff. So anyways, guys, if there's anything that I didn't talk about and you feel like would be beneficial to 2024, FS 2024, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. And until then, and sorry if I can even speak today, I can't. Until next time, guys, I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out and happy flying.